Hi, I'm Amy Baldwin. I'm here with Laurie Hazard, and we're talking about National Decision Day, which is a fancy title for that day. It's May 1st, right? May
May
1st.
1st.
That across the land, all high school seniors should be making decisions about where they're going to be in the fall in terms of college or university. You have any idea where that came from? Like, when did that start? I don't remember National Decision Day.
I don't know. It's probably one of those marketing things like Valentine's Day or Mother's Day or Father's Day, all of those big days that
Yeah.
we
Oh,
celebrate in this country to generate capital because we're a capitalist society.
yeah. Well, whenever I start seeing Hallmark cards and people sending flowers on this occasion, I will believe that it is an official holiday. Um, so we've got a few weeks before that day, and I know some people are probably going to make decisions earlier than that. And of course, depending on extenuating circumstances, people can make decisions after that, right? They can certainly make decisions at our institution the day of classes starting, as long as they have all of their paperwork put together. But what kinds of things do we need to consider? What kinds of conversations to have at the table with our students as we get closer to this time to making that decision?
It was interesting. I had a friend ask me about what happens when her student was waitlisted. So
Mhm.
she didn't get into her first choice. So now she's trying to make the decision for National Decision Day, but she's got a wait list sort of offer. And people who aren't familiar with higher education probably don't understand the sort of inner workings of that. And I just talked to her about how sometimes students will start coming off of the wait list in the summer, and it could be before or after the college's orientation. After orientation, some students decide after they've spent a couple of days on campus that they really don't want to attend, so they withdraw. Um, and then it opens up room on the wait list. And so I think it depends on student stress tolerance, right? If they really want to hang on to that wait list spot that they got and they're okay with not really knowing where they're going to go to school until June or July or even August. And for other students, that's probably too uncomfortable. They're probably going to want to make a decision despite being waitlisted somewhere. But I encourage parents and students to check in periodically or even ask that admission office what their sort of strategy and policy is throughout the summer so students can make more informed decisions. But you're right, I've had the experience when I worked at a college that students were making the decision to come to our institution the week before, and we were really scrambling to help them get ready to transition in.
So, you made me think. So, the term waitlisted, obviously, we need to know that what that term is, and thank you for bringing that up and defining it. It just means that you are put on a list, and when a spot opens up, you'll be notified that you have been officially accepted. But even before, let's say that the students have some acceptances, say maybe more than one, and they're trying to figure out which one to choose from. I remember this with my own daughter who, we had a spreadsheet and we had identified financial aid for each and, a net cost. So what we were going to have to bring to the table, where it was located, what kinds of programs it had. In her case, my daughter's case, we couldn't necessarily go back one more time to be on campus at all of the institutions. So we really had to sit down as a family and talk about finances. Finances was the number one issue for us, which maybe also for a lot of parents and families. What is this going to cost? Can we afford it? Is it something, have we made plans if we can't afford it outright to make sure that we can pay our tuition fees bill? And then what is this institution? Where is this institution? And does my student feel comfortable there? I think those are probably the two biggest things that really were on our minds and in our conversations. And then I think the third was will it give her the opportunities that she was seeking? So in her case, it was a small liberal arts school. That's what she wanted. She wanted to be able to, study certain things, and those things were offered. And then she was also wanting to play soccer, and so that afforded her the ability to do that. So when she finally made her decision, it kind of checked all the boxes. But I'm just wondering, is there anything else that families need to be aware of or should have conversations around if the student is kind of weighing some possibilities?
I think one of the things that you mentioned was location, and I think it's important for parents and students to kind of talk about, again, if we talk about stress tolerance, one thing that can come into play is homesickness. And to what extent are you going to be able to afford, if you do send your student to a college or university that's not driving distance from your house, all of the transportation costs and costs that you'd incur if the student is far away and they have the expectation that they're going to be coming home X number of times per year. That's an added cost that I think parents and families don't often think about that concretely when they're making that decision. And I think it's important to think about that piece as well.
And that's a really hard thing for an 18-year-old to process, because
Yeah,
my daughter thought, oh, I want to be far, far away, like a 6 hour or 5 hour plane ride away. And fortunately for us, it didn't pan out financially. And then hindsight, after she graduated, she said, I'm so glad I did not go that far away, because I now know enough about myself to know that I would have struggled a little bit more. And that's not every student. So some students thrive being very, very far away.
yeah. I think it's that how well you know yourself, those intrapersonal skills, and for parents, how well they know their student, and to really have that conversation. Um, and share your concerns with your student.
Yeah.
And then, it's hard if they're traditional age students in that adolescent stage of development. They might not want to hear that you don't think they're ready for that big step of being far away from home.
Right.
So, how
Um,
do you get them to think about what that might feel like?
Other than shipping them off for a little bit
Right, right.
and say,
And I think it's important to mention that if a student does take the risk, you encourage them to do that. And then if it doesn't work out that first semester, it's okay.
yeah,
Um, there's a whole system of transferring.
yeah. And it's never permanent. So that's another thing that I think young people often get in their minds is, I have to make this decision now with the information I have, and I'm afraid that it's not going to be something I want, a year from now. And going ahead and having that conversation with your student now to say, here's how we want to deal with this should this arise, can be comforting to them to know that there's a plan in place. And it's okay to change your mind. It's okay to think, oh, this isn't what I thought. But having said that, is there anything else that parents or families should be sitting down and considering, in addition to what I said, finances, fit, opportunities, and even location?
Yeah. I mean, it's an exciting time for parents and families when you're making a decision as a family to where to send your student off, but they still have the rest of their senior year to finish. So they should be aware that they could experience that old senior slump. And you've really got to encourage them to stay motivated so they finish off their senior year strong, and then to talk about what opportunities they have this summer. And summertime might be a good opportunity for them to test the independence waters a little bit. So if they have a job and have certain responsibilities that they have to fill, and you as a parent always kind of scaffolded that for them, like woke them up and made sure that they were somewhere on time. And maybe summertime's a time to really start backing off and let them kind of go at things independently, because they're going to have to do that pretty soon anyway.
Yeah. Is there any bad way to deal with this as a parent? Like, I'm thinking about parents who even jokingly, say, "Oh, I'm gonna miss you, and I don't know how it's gonna be a hole in my heart, whenever you're gone." Is that Is that not advisable to put that kind of emotional stress on students?
I mean, I think it's important for parents to share how they feel. Um,
Mhm.
but think about being boundary driven around it and not overdoing it, because you don't want to make the student feel guilty for exercising their independence. If they're really looking forward to this opportunity, they should feel that it might be hard for mom and dad or for grandparents and siblings, but that you support their their decision to test out their independence. And um I think a good thing to do is come up with a communication plan with your student so that both parties know what to expect. So
Mhm.
um I know when I worked at a university, a lot of moms were calling about their sons because their sons were not in communication, and it was really unsettling and uncomfortable for the mothers. But maybe if they had that conversation before, like, we're going to speak once a week, or we'll touch base every Tuesday and Thursday, have some kind of communication plan in place, so um, the guesswork is taken out of how much contact you're going to have during
Yeah.
that
And there are
first few
no
weeks.
surprises, for sure. Yeah, my son never texts at all, ever, ever. And I work on the campus that he is a student of, so and I never see him. So this is one piece of information to parents, families. You can survive, without hearing from them every day, if not every week. You can survive. It's going to be okay. Uh, so decision day, May 1st, have these conversations before and work through any questions or any qualms that your student may have. And just know, and you can reach out to the institution as well if you still have questions, right?
Yeah, and of course, I think the thing that we didn't mention that's super important is orientation. Most colleges and universities have them. The student should be prepared to sign up. And a lot of these questions and concerns will be answered because many times there's a parent orientation along with the student orientation to address some of these issues that we raise.
Yeah. Well, great. Thanks, Lori. Appreciate it.